And are we live? Oh, yeah. See, I'm going to hypnotize y'all into liking this song eventually. Do the Flavor Flav, drop my glasses.
Cool. I haven't gotten a notification yet.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to thispinkcloud.com. So
Welcome.
I am.
Let's make sure that
I
we're
am DJ.
broadcasting.
I am DJ. Yeah, are we broadcasting? We got it all up. We got it all figured out. I am DJ Kelly Reverb. That is not the Professor Nolan. That is my sister, the Kathy Ward.
Hello.
Hi,
welcome to this Pink Cloud.
She is sitting in for Nolan today because she can. No,
There you go.
Nolan had some personal stuff, so we
Yeah.
actually want to shout out to Nolan and especially Elizabeth. She lost her pawpaw.
Yeah, we're
so
very
that's
sorry
a bummer.
for your family's
and
loss.
Continued prayers and thoughts.
Yes, absolutely. So I am not Nolan.
Yes,
I do
you
not
are
have a
Kathy.
glitter phobia.
Yeah, right.
But I do have a clown phobia.
There we go. Yes,
A little bit of a
yes,
doll
you
phobia
do.
as
Yes,
well.
you do. Well, okay, so let's just wrap here a little bit. We actually have on the show today a young lady from Halifax, Canada, and her name is Anne Richardson. She has a website called sobercity.ca, and then she also has a YouTube channel called Addicted to Happy, and she's basically on there giving you lots of good information, lots of just practical stuff. Like, I mean, I was like listening to her and totally relating to, what she was talking about because, hey, guess what? I had been there. But we'll go ahead and play a little clip from her YouTube channel, Addicted to Happy. This is Anne Richardson, pre-recorded. And do we have audio?
Oh.
You might want a little audio. There we go. Oh yeah, but not that. Chambriel, that's okay. We'll let it slide. But we are going to. Can you? You got it.
No matter if
There
it's
we go.
There we
alcohol
go.
or drugs. So just keep that in mind. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the stages of relapse, and then I'm going to give just 10 tips on how to avoid relapse.
If you manage a team,
Oh, and that
you
goes
have
into the
to track
commercial,
Monday.
so you might want to
Monday.com
skip
is a
the
platform
ad.
to track everything the team is working on. We use it.
I love this. There we go.
There we
It's
go.
important to understand that relapsing is actually a process, and it's a process that could last weeks or even months. So there's a lot more to it than just the actual physical act of relapsing. So there are 3 stages of relapse. The first one would be emotional, the next is mental, and the last one is, of course, the physical, actual relapse. So I'll just go through each of the 3 stages, and I'll talk a little bit about
All right.
each one.
So
and
you get
some
a drift. You get the drift of it. So let's just go ahead and bring this lovely lady in live now. We've got our guest all the way from Halifax, Canada. And
That was not a Canadian accent.
yeah, I know. I'm gonna butcher it. I'm gonna try, and then she can try to do the "Hey y'all," that whole thing. There she is. I see her creeping into our screen
There.
slowly. And then can she see us from over here? Oh, okay. So you're just doing it
We're
blind.
waving at you.
Yeah.
Just trust us.
Yeah, and I even wore a nice button-down shirt for you. I opted out of not wearing a T-shirt. I was like, oh, Leanne's got her stuff together, so I
gonna
might want to
step it
kind of
up.
actually step it up and look professional.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'll see it on YouTube afterwards.
There you
There you go. There you go. And maybe even be on your channel, Addicted to Happy. Possibly.
Possibly. Yeah. Clips at least. Yeah.
There you go. Sweet. I'm all about it. So I guess let's start off with we'll just start basic. Where did your addiction start? Where did you notice your addiction to where it eventually became a problem?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think for a lot of people, I mean, it started in like early teens. For me, it was around the age of 13 when I first started to drink, and And I don't know if you guys have it down there, but the Rockaberry coolers, it's like
that's some Canadian stuff. We have
Is it? Okay.
we have Boone's Farm here.
Oh, okay. So anyway, the cheap like fruity stuff that's just like a gigantic cooler in a great big 2-liter bottle or gallon. I don't know what you guys call
Oh.
it, but anyway, that was pretty much my first experience, and it sort of just kept getting more and more that through my teens. And I guess I sort of really noticed when it was starting to become maybe questionable, would be in my late teens. Mostly it was brought to my attention by my mom, who said, just be careful. Alcoholism runs deep in both sides of your family. So just be really careful with your consumption and stuff like that. And I was like, whatever, I'm 19.
Yeah, I've got this,
Yeah.
Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, it's totally fine. Like, this is just what we do, because the 19 is the legal age here. So I started,
Oh, that's even
legally
yeah.
drinking.
Wow.
Oh yeah. So and it was pretty much right on my 19th birthday, which is a week after Halloween, where I was then going downtown every weekend, going to the clubs, doing all the things. But I mean, that was normal. So it was like, it's no big deal. Like, everyone binge drinks on the weekend. And that's all it was for a few years, until mid-20s, when it started to get my consumption increased dramatically. And then it was drinking every Thursday for like wing night, and then every Friday, and then every Saturday going to the club.
Did
And
you say
then-
for wing night?
Yeah, what's wing
Yeah.
night?
Excuse me.
That's generally Thursday nights here in Halifax, for the most part, most bars. And wing night is just cheap chicken wings and usually like a pitcher of beer for I don't know,
Okay.
$15 or something.
Wow.
Wing night.
But
Okay, now we know.
yeah, exactly. So it's usually like a special night
Right.
of the week. So yeah, it would have been more of those, and MDMA or like ecstasy was introduced to me in like my early 20s. So like added pills on top of increased alcohol consumption.
Mm-hmm.
So it really mid to late 20s is when it just all blew to hell until I got sober when I'm 30.
Now I know I'm not supposed to do this, but how old are you? Do you mind? Or
37.
37? Okay. Well, you don't
You
look.
look
no, it's fine.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have thought you were in
So
college.
sobriety suits you well.
Yes.
Thank you. It does. It actually does really good things for your skin and everything. I mean, I gained 30 pounds, but so what? Who cares? Because I feel, and I feel like I don't look at 37 is still young, I know, but I do feel like I looked way more haggard when I was 25.
Right, and
Wow.
I've seen pictures, and they're on your. That's what I love about you, is you're actually open with sharing your story, and all your pictures where you were total punk rock girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, I look good, I think, but there were some pictures where I'm like, oh no, girl.
I was a little too spun out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Well, one thing I did, and I wanted to touch on, because you and I share this common bond, I had some crippling anxiety that I didn't realize I was just making it worse with alcohol. I thought I was medicating it and I had it in check, but apparently not. And I know you said that. So let's hear a little bit about your anxiety.
Sure. Yeah. And same, because we all self-medicate, especially with alcohol when we're in active addiction. But yeah, my anxiety disorder started when I was around 13 or 14. And it was just sort of normal, I thought. Just generalized anxiety, panic attacks here and there. But yeah, in my 20s, mid-20s specifically, because drinking increased. And there's not even, I don't even know what came first, but basically it was a mixture of increased drinking, increased mental health issues, and then increased anxiety. And it was so bad around the age of 25. I legit thought I might be going crazy, but I wasn't.
Sure.
I went to doctors, I had talk therapy, I think at that time, but it was just the anxiety was crippling. I remember, where it was so bad that, of course, wear your sunglasses the next day when you're hungover so the bright lights don't hurt.
course.
That, but I also would wear sunglasses because as soon as any bright colors or lights, I would get a panic attack immediately.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, and
Now, were you
sweating as soon as I
at
woke
the
up.
point where you were just drinking your way out of the panic attacks?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was. And and sometimes I don't even know if it's even part of anxiety, but like sometimes when it was really bad, I would close my eyes, to try to breathe, do all the right things. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like I would see flashes of scary faces,
Oh, wow.
and that's what made me think that, okay, I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
But really,
I'm
it was just a
losing
very
it.
intense panic attack.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I can totally relate with you on that, because I'm just like, okay, well, first off, when I had my first one, I thought I was having a heart attack, of course. And then you get to the point where you're just like, well, I don't really understand what it is. And then, like you said, you just self-medicate, and then, you eventually get on the wheel, or the treadmill, like, you and I did, definitely. And, I mean, I don't know, I tried to do all the breathing exercises and like, okay, serenity now, but it just wasn't working. And especially, when you're at a 10, it's hard to talk yourself off the ledge mentally, especially when your body's saying, hey, why don't you feed us some more alcohol so we can deal with this? So, that's where I was. If you'd like to
Yeah.
expound on that, I mean.
Yeah, I was the same way. And then in my mid-20s, when I was adding in a lot of pills on top of it, sometimes I don't even know what pills I was getting because they all had different effects.
Little
And,
street
like,
action.
yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, this one makes me hallucinate. I don't know.
Well, why
But when I
not?
was, yeah, sure. I mean, it was stupid risky. And but I know that adding pills in the next day, being hungover, and then having that weird, like gritty, strung out, gross feeling
Mm.
made the anxiety 10 times worse. But near the end of my active addiction, even if I just had one beer the night before, the next morning, I'd have a panic attack pretty much as soon as I woke up. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? This is horrible. As soon as I quit drinking, it pretty much all went away. It was
Right. Now, I
shocking.
do have one question. I never really found out or how you got sober.
Yeah. March 2nd, 2014 at like
Oh.
2:30 in the afternoon.
Sobriety date. Hold
It's
on.
Yeah, good
Golf
for
clap.
God. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's so weird. It's so crazy to think back on it, how it's been almost 7 years. It's so crazy. But how it was intense. So near the end, they say things get worse and worse as time goes on.
Mhm.
You say you'll never do this, and then you do it. Like
Sure.
with me, I'll
Right.
never lie, cheat, steal, but I did them. Like I'll never fall asleep in a snowbank. I fell over. Like I didn't fall asleep. Someone found me.
Thank
Right.
goodness.
But
Thank goodness.
that could have been horrible.
That could
Yeah,
have
that
that
could've
could have
been
ended up
really
wrong. You could have
bad.
lost a few digits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or yeah, exactly.
Or froze half
my
your
life.
face off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on how
Yeah.
you landed.
Exactly. I was stuck. I remember I fell, and it was much deeper than I thought. And I was just stuck on my belly. And I was like, well, I can't get up, and I'm loaded. And thankfully someone pulled me out of there. And I remember on that walk home, I peed myself.
Oh.
Who does that? And I said to myself, oh, I know I'll have a problem once I start like peeing myself like those alcoholics. Well, no, I did it. And I was one of those alcoholics. So it was like, okay. And that was like a week before I really quit. So leading up to it, I was like, girl, you're doing the things that you said in your mind you would never do. Like, you're a mess. And like throwing up mid-sentence type thing. Like,
you gotta love that. That's gotta gotta attract some people.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a week leading up to it, like doing all the embarrassing things. And now I'm super open because like I want people to be like, oh my God, that was me. Like it's good to hear someone else talk about it. But
I agree.
So yeah, March 1st, the last night that I drank, it was just like every other night. I went out with a good friend. Nothing bad, crazy happened or anything. I had a pretty good time. But what happened to me, pretty much every time I drank, like this weird switch would happen in my head, and I'd start to get like weird, dark, demented thoughts where I would want to fight, or I'd want to self-harm, or like I would just get like in a weird mood. But no one really saw it. It was all me. I couldn't wait to go home so I could be by myself, to usually self-harm. Excuse me. And that's what I did the last night that I drank. Had a great time, got a cab home, and I got in the door, and then that switch came on, and I was like, I I don't really know what I was thinking. I don't know. I don't think I was suicidal. But either way, self-harm happened. My roommate came home, and I was in hysterics, but I wasn't
Hmm.
crying. It was just, I was like, I'm something gotta give, like
Right.
something's
Now, not to pry, and if you don't want to talk about it, I understand. But I mean, were you just a cutter, or what, as far as self-mutilation goes? I mean,
Yeah, that's all it was at the end. When I was a teenager, it was other things.
uh-huh.
But yeah, that's what it was. It was the blood aspect is what I wanted to see. And
Okay.
that's what happened that night. Yeah, the last night that I drank.
And do you think
So
that
my
was happening maybe because, like, you were just so enthralled by, like, your addiction, or was it, more of a mental thing or combo?
both, totally
Both.
both.
Yeah.
Because my mental health was so bad at that time. I
Hmm.
would have weekly breakdowns of like, what am I doing with my life? Because I would be homeless here and there.
Mm.
I'd leave one apartment and then I wouldn't have anywhere to go, so I'd have to stay on a friend's couch for a while,
Hmm.
and so just utter chaos happening around me, and in my own head with breaking up friendships and screwing up relationships and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So yeah, the mental aspect, like it was weighing heavily on me of like, what am I doing with my life?
Hmm.
I'm almost 30, and so that combined with like increased drinking
Hmm.
is what did it, where I was just like, I don't know, I just gotta, and I wasn't suicidal, but I think I did. I would think I don't want to die, but I want to bleed out in a snowbank. That's one thing I would always say, and I'd be half joking but half serious.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I knew that wasn't good. I knew that like I gotta do something before I die. I really did feel like that was inevitable. It was coming.
Sure. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. And then, so as far as getting sober, what did you just do it yourself, or was it just like, hey, I'm quitting, and then you just drew the line and quit, or how did it go for you?
And along with that,
yeah.
Leanne, I want to ask, because you mentioned a term, I don't want to forget it. You said active addiction.
Hmm.
What does that
Yeah.
mean?
That's all when I was currently drinking, or
Okay.
yeah, that's all I mean.
Okay.
Yeah, when
Okay.
I was
Gotcha.
in
It's a
Okay.
active
fancy
addiction.
term for drinking.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Right?
I didn't know, because I guess you're still you're always considering yourself an addict even when you're sober. So I think
Yeah.
that's a good differentiation, especially for those of us like family members or the people who love the person in trouble, who's struggling. To know more about the terminology, and what do you mean? You say active addiction, I'm like, what is that? So there may
You're
be
always an
somebody.
addict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's good to know. Okay.
I
Thank
know what you
you.
mean, and that's good to make that differentiation. But yeah, active
Okay.
addiction, currently doing it.
Okay.
Living in recovery, no longer doing it.
Okay.
Good.
Gotcha. Which is awesome.
And then, so back to the
Yeah.
question,
Sorry.
you drew the line and just stopped on your own, or what happened?
Yeah, pretty much. Because my bottom was so. I mean, there's worse. We don't compare. Okay.
Sure.
So, but yeah,
We
that night,
sometimes do.
I called my roommate because I was like, things are spiraling, something bad's gonna happen. She came over, called the police. Police came, brought me to the local hospital because they were gonna put me in a psych ward. I ended up leaving the hospital because I was like, it's 6 a.m. I just want to go
A
home.
little
Don't worry.
AMA action against medical
Um,
advice. That's what they
yeah.
call AMA. Sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah. But
Recovery's all full of acronyms and everything. So,
Yes.
oh yeah, pause.
totally.
Post-acute withdrawal. Yeah, okay. And I noticed you did have a video for that on
I
YouTube,
do.
which I found fascinating.
Yeah, not a lot of people heard of pause, but anyway, yeah. So going to the hospital in the back of a cop car, like that kind of stuff sort of shook me up, I know.
Hmm.
And that was not the only time I was involved with, but anyway. So, and then that night, and this is when you had Dusty Burrows on, he talked about sort of like a spiritual awakening or something
Hmm.
that happened, and that sort of happened to me.
Maybe your higher power going, "Hey, girl, yeah,
I don't
what are
know.
you doing?"
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what happened that night when I came home from the hospital at like 6 a.m. And then basically like everything changed. Like it was weird. What actually happened during that weird 10 minutes, and I feel like it saved my life, and I don't know what it was still to this day. And there's lots of different theories I'm sure people could come up with, and I don't even
Sure.
really know my own theory.
Right. Well, I mean, it was your higher self or your higher power, whatever you want to refer to that as. I mean, you definitely had some type of intervention that was maybe not of you, would you say?
I would definitely say it was it was not me. I mean, sure, of course, yes, I have a lot to do with it.
Right.
It's not all because of, a third party, but yeah, like there was someone in that room with me. I was sure of it because I got
Mhm.
home, I went in my room and I was like, okay, what a horrible night. I'll just continue again tomorrow.
Mhm.
I didn't think it was anything different other than it was like sort of scary. And I remember I was taking photos of like my wounds basically as like evidence for my future self to be like, hey, slow down. And then suddenly I was like, someone's in my room, that, and I instantly sobered up, that feeling where you're like,
Mhm.
whoa, someone is watching me.
Right.
And it was so intense that I stopped what I was doing and I'm looking around my room. I started taking pictures around my room to see if I could capture
You're
something.
gonna get an
Nothing,
orb or something, right?
right? Nothing came up, but I
Uh-huh.
was like, someone's here. But it wasn't scary. It was
Uh-huh.
like very overwhelming presence. And
Uh-huh.
then went to sleep. The next morning I woke up. I was 2 hours late for work. The horrible feeling. And then I was like, that's it. That's my past.
Mhm.
And this is the first minute upon waking is the first minute of my future.
That's great. I love that. I love that. And
That gives
then,
me
I mean,
chills. I mean, it's an amazing story.
did you actually like have any kind of withdrawal symptoms or anything like that after you quit?
Yeah. That's when the post-acute withdrawal syndrome stuff started coming in.
Okay.
And it for me, and I never went to detox or anything like that. I
Right.
didn't know much about it or anything. I just I started going to AA right after.
Mhm.
But yeah, for the withdrawal part, like memory loss, lapses in remembering things. Like I was 2 hours late for work that day, but they didn't fire me right then.
Mhm.
It happened later.
Okay.
But I forgot like the code to get into work. So the alarm was going off and the police showed up and
How fun.
and yeah, I was like a few weeks sober and I told the police that. I was like, just so you know, like I just quit drinking and this is actually a symptom to forget things. I taught a police officer about post-acute withdrawal syndrome and they were fine. They were like, okay, you're not breaking in.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, that. And like sleep was weird. And I mean, all the classic post-acute
Well,
withdrawal syndrome
I
stuff.
actually still have weird sleep now. Like but it's like I'm not. It's not a bad thing. It's just like I don't require 14 hours of sleep anymore, and I'm not
Right?
depressed. And I'm like, oh, I got stuff to do. Let's go, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm up with the roosters now. So, but
Yeah, it's awesome to be productive.
yeah, and then okay, so as far as your sobriety, then how did you kind of maintain your sobriety, or actually stick with it? Because a lot of people make 30 days, a lot of people make 15 days, or whatever, and then they just kind of go, well, I think I've got this under control. I'm going back.
Oh yeah. Oh, totally. I understand that. Well, like I said, I started going to AA right away because I didn't know where else to go. I didn't know what else to do. So I was like, there's an AA meeting 2 blocks away from me. So I did weekly AA for the first year. And I took advantage of all the free like resources in my province. And so it was free addictions counseling for like 10 sessions, something like that.
Okay.
And went to like a support group for depression, another support group for cognitive behavioral therapy. Those were both free as well. And had I not had those groups, like if they weren't free, I mean, I couldn't afford it. Then I would have just relied more on like friends and family, which I had a few of who were very supportive, mostly like my mom and my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband.
Mr. Richardson.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, go ahead and give him a shout out. What's his name?
Chad. Yeah, he's
Chad. Chad, I love you.
He was, yeah. He sort of gave me a little bit of an intervention too before I quit.
Great.
He's like, you got to stop, or I can't handle this anymore. So He was very instrumental implanting that seed as well. for me.
Right. That definitely helps to have somebody saying, hey, this is not who you're supposed to be, and you
Yeah.
can do better, and you have to do better. So, I
Well,
definitely think.
somebody that loves you enough to say, "Hey, I know you might not choose me at the end, and you might choose whatever your drug of choice is."
Your DOC.
But yeah, your DOC. There's another acronym. In that person really has to love you to know that ultimately they can't watch you destroy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was. And he said, it hurt, but like, you got to do that because he didn't know what was going to happen to me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, okay, so let's get to some of the fun stuff that you have going on now that you've become this sober overachiever.
Right?
Okay, so one thing, and I'll just mention them both, and then you can, follow up however you'd like. But you have a website called sobercity.ca, which is Canada, not California, you American Yankees. But but so tell us a little bit about sobercity.ca.
Sure. Yeah. So that launched January 1st, 2020. Right before I knew what was about to hit the whole world, and I was super optimistic. But basically, what Sober City is, it's a website, it's a blog, but it's just turning into a community here in Halifax, where on the website I'll post, resources, advice, support, stuff like that, and other like good resources for people to use in the city. But the community aspect it's an alternative to AA. It's really just social,
Right.
for people who either just quit drinking or they're thinking about it, or who occasionally dabble in the alcohol-free life. We have weekly meetups, Zoom now. Eventually we're going to start doing in-person things again, but it's starting to spread out to be like a real community.
Well, and I love that you keep on saying the word community, because that's what Nolan and I talk about all the time. Because if you surround yourself with community and other people that are sober, hey man, that's going to stack the deck in your favor for sure. I mean, and I'm sure you agree.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's what I loved about
Totally.
your website. And then I loved your little bio that you had in there, and you were like, this is like the project that I put off forever. And
Yeah.
and now you got it up
Yeah.
and running. But then you also have, you also have whatchamacallit, you have addicted to happy on YouTube, which you have about 5,000 subscribers, and I think like 14 videos, which you very neatly edited and put together, and it's just about specific issues. And like what was the big one you said, the 50 things that are better about being sober? Was that one of them?
Yeah, like 50 ways sobriety rules
There you go.
thing. But
Right.
yeah, that's a big one. Like that gets a lot of hits, and and yeah, YouTube, that started first for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, where I was like, I just have so much new recovery knowledge in my head. I just want to get it out and help people.
Mhm.
So I started on YouTube, and then a few years later, I was like, I want to start helping people in my community. How? And then that wheel started going, and then I started Sober City.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, anybody all over the world, I mean, I think it's a great resource to go to your site, and it's, because I could totally relate to, half the stuff that you were saying. And I think it's a great thing. And then on tell us about the sobercity.ca website. I mean, is there certain, besides the community aspect, is there other things that are on there, like articles or links to different webcasts like thispinkcloud.com? But is there like tell us what's on there without them actually visiting the site yet? Just
Yeah, there's mostly for the most part the blog posts are like advice articles. Like how to support someone in recovery, and like how to make a sobriety toolkit, that kind of stuff, like practical advice.
Okay, I want to hear about that.
Yeah,
what
does
is
that
what is
mean?
a sobriety toolkit?
That would be things to reach for when you're feeling particularly like shaky in your recovery, where
Right.
you're like, oh, I don't know, I know where the liquor store is and like I'm getting my jacket on type thing.
Yeah,
Maybe not
right.
quite
I
that far.
gotcha. So,
But
what is
when
in your sobriety toolkit, Leanne?
yeah, so that, I mean, it's different for everybody, but I give recommendations on, have things written down, such as why you quit. Have phone numbers written down, not just in your phone. There's something about seeing them tangibly in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
of phone numbers of people that you can call
Mm-hmm.
when you're feeling low, and just other ideas of self-care, and other like motivational things to remind yourself why you quit and why you want to stay sober, and have some tea, take a bath, do those kinds of things. So it's personalized for everybody, but it's really important, I think, to build like that toolkit right in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning when you're feeling good and strong, so
Yeah.
that when you're feeling the opposite, you
when
can.
when it doesn't, yeah, and that's what I still keep on hearing, that it it gets better with time, because I'm not gonna I'll be forthright. I mean, I definitely still think about drinking, and I'm like, oh, I could handle that, but and Kathy's like,
I was like,
well, no, the thing
well.
is I don't I know
Yeah.
I know myself, and I know that I don't really necessarily want to take that gamble or that risk of going back to where I was, because where I was, I wouldn't wish on anybody, honestly. So
hmm Yeah, exactly. And I felt that way too. Like in year 2, it was a bit like that, where I'm like, you guys, like, it's
I made it a
fine.
year. I'm fine. Yeah.
Like, it's all good. But then it does, and it really does keep getting easier and easier. And I noticed the other day that I forget what I said, something like, oh no, I'm not even thinking about drinking.
Mm.
But I was like, whoa, I just said that. I
Yeah, when
can't
you
believe I
said
just
that,
said
then
that.
you just thought about drinking.
Well, yeah,
Right?
but it does, like, it really does keep getting better and easier. And then now I'm like, oh my goodness, no, like, please, oh, I don't want to feel that. I don't want to drink, like, gross. Like,
Right.
it's weird.
Yeah.
It starts to flip.
I hear you.
So
So
does it get easier? I mean, it obviously
it's
it
what I
must.
hear. The word on the street.
That's what they say. But then you also, like AA, which up until my brother started this podcast, I had no idea about this whole sober community out there and all the support and all the cool, fun things you can do with other friends that you meet and other members of your community who become sober. So, but you still hear, I go back to thinking old school, that AA, one day at a time. And, you'll have times even after you've been sober for 20 years that you'll think about it. You're saying just always, I think that toolkit, and I went ahead and I put the link on our Facebook feed for our audience right now and in the future who watch this show. That sounds like a really smart idea to me.
Yeah, because it will pop up, like, for sure, even if you're 20 years down the road, like, because that addiction monster in our head, it's always there. It's just either quiet or loud or somewhere in between. But, and even for me, like, when I just said recently, I'm not even thinking about drinking, and I meant it, but a week prior to that, I was on my way to like a social gathering, and I started to get scared. Like, oh no, what if I just drink?
Right.
What if I just accidentally start to drink? I'm like, it's always there.
I think it's actually, I have a healthy fear of relapsing. So, and I think that's a good thing. But it's not to where it's like a crippling thing to where it's going to stop me from doing anything. It's just like, hey man, guess what? You got to deal with this, and you got to deal with it sober. We actually have traffic down here, so driving can be a big anxiety, factor. And now I'm just like, oh yeah, you need me to drive? Yeah, I'll go to Austin. Yeah, or whatever. Just drive 3-4 hours. But before that, when I was in my addiction, I definitely couldn't do that. So it was definitely crippling.
Yeah, and like triggers are always going to happen. Like bad situations are always going to happen for the rest of our lives. It's now that when you're sober, you're able to deal with it a lot more healthilier. So
Yeah, for sure.
It'll just keep happening. But yeah, you're just in a better mindset because you worked on yourself. And that's key too, to actually work on the internal stuff. Work on the reasons why you used to drink to hide it. You got to work on that the internal stuff, and then that will really be sure that sobriety is sustained for a really long time.
Sure. And just, and I always tell people, you just have to be honest with yourself. And, and that's kind of what I'm doing now is I don't want to get to that place again. And I realize that there is a potential to get to that place again if I, ingest alcohol. So,
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, hey, I am on your site right now, and it looks very fun and colorful. And I'm looking at the shirt there, sober as frig. That's very
Yes.
that's very Canadian, huh?
It is. I know. That's why I
love
did it.
I'm going to have to go on there and do some Christmas shopping for myself.
Yeah, for sure. I
Let's-
ship down to you guys too. No problem.
Nice, sober as frig. I love that.
Yes.
What's well, first off, you're gonna have to throw in some free stickers though, so I can do the placement of the sticker on my laptop, which all the guests that we have on that have stickers, I always put the traditional sticker on there on the computer.
Awesome. Yeah, you gotta have the Sober's Frig or the No Hangover crew too. Those are my two
I like
favorite.
that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Wow, and that's
Yeah.
like let's see, decals, and then what else do we have?
And what
go ahead.
I love about you is you're very, God bless you for being able to be so open about things. I mean, you talk about recovery from a surgery that you had, and you're just like, hey, it's out here. And I went through, and a lot of times before I watch a video, I'll read the comments, and you can just tell people are just pouring out their hearts. They're so grateful that you were so open about something like that. And again, I just what a breath of fresh air you are, Leanne, that you're willing to just put it all out there.
Yeah, and the surgery.
And you never know who it could touch.
Yeah, because I
help.
watched a little bit on the surgery,
Yeah.
and I thought that was great that you put that out there, and you kind of said, "Hey, this is how it goes," and you had a lot of thumbs up, and I think one a-hole put a thumbs down, but I was like, whatever.
Who would do that?
I
Well,
know, dude.
They
Hating.
change. No,
Hating.
they change. Maybe they're just old and they need glasses like
Oh,
me. and
that's right.
Because there's no more thumbs down. It's all thumbs up.
It's all thumbs up. Nice.
And yeah, I feel like it's important to share. I mean, and I completely understand why some people wouldn't want to because it's super personal. But for me, yeah, because that particular surgery I had, I was like, before I had the surgery, I was really scared. So I looked on YouTube to try to find other people's experiences. Didn't really find a whole lot.
Mhm.
So I was like, I'm doing a whole series because I want, and it helps. People reached out to me too
Sure.
and said how much it helped them. I was like, I'll tell you everything from gas pains to throwing up. Like, I'll tell you it.
Hey, and
You know.
and to pee in my pants. It's all out there, kids.
Exactly.
Love it. Well, so is there anything else you wanted to plug or talk about, or anything going on in Canada? How's the COVID situation?
Yeah, I mean it's fine here in Nova Scotia.
You're by Oak Island.
Oh,
we were
exactly.
talking about that the other day.
okay,
Oak Island.
yeah, Oak
The curse of
Island.
Oak Island.
We need to have you back. We need to have you back on Kelly and Nolan's show just so you can talk about the
It's
curse
the
of
cur-
Oak Island.
No, but we talked about it's the curse of never finding anything.
I've never
There's nothing
seen it.
there.
it's Rehash Island.
And how does that show? Like, we're like, okay, I'm watching the same stuff 2 years later. What am I doing that they've got me hooked on this
Exactly.
show?
Exactly.
My husband and I
I
was
was
like, don't
hooked
turn
too.
it on.
Kathy, no, it's a coin.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a top pocket
I'm
find
like,
right
yeah,
there.
that's a shiny piece of dirt. Something's there. I knew something was going to be there.
Yeah,
no,
right.
it's not. It's just not. We're going to find Bigfoot before we find
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have you seen
Totally.
Bigfoot? Have you seen Bigfoot? You are in Halifax, so that is Bigfoot country. Kinda.
That would be more out the other side of the country where
Ah.
I used to live too. And I'd be like, I'm not going camping in Alberta. There's mountain lions and Bigfoot and
and Sasquatch.
grizzlies.
That's funny.
Well, I have a question. So if somebody's watching this show, and here we are, we're obviously the studio's decked out for Christmas, and I've got my early Christmas present, which is an elf T-shirt from my brother who knows me well. I love him dearly. So we're getting ready to hit Christmas and New Year's Eve, big drinking times. If somebody thinks they're having trouble, or again, if you've got a loved one you're watching have trouble, what are your suggestions during the Christmas holidays into the New Year's festivities for somebody who is struggling right now?
Yeah, and I know there is a lot of people who,
Especially during
during the pandemic, like
COVID. Yeah.
it's gotten worse for them.
Way worse.
And I know it's different depending on where in the world you are, especially in North America. I know here in Nova Scotia, we only have, I don't even know how many active cases we have right now, 15 maybe.
Oh,
Like
wow.
we get maybe like 5 new cases a day. And we're like super strict with everything. So our numbers are good, but we're still not allowed to gather in groups larger than 10, I think, and
Okay.
gyms are still closed, all that kind of stuff. But I know in other parts, like it's not as strict, but you can still use the COVID excuse for a reason not to go to parties or not to go to as many parties. So I would say utilize
That's a
that
good
excuse
point.
as much as you
Yeah.
can. And also, I know because the holidays, it's hard because that's when everyone is drinking. And if you're trying to quit or thinking about it, then it's extra hard. But yeah, I would suggest to watch yourself and know that that most people don't even really pay attention to how much you drink. So
Hmm.
if you just bring a couple and maybe bring some non-alcoholic or maybe just bring some pop or soda, switch it up. A lot of times people won't even notice.
Right.
And make things as easy on yourself as you can. Like don't say yes to 3 parties on Christmas Day type thing, um, uh, go easy on yourself and give yourself grace and understand that,
You have a problem, or might.
well, that too, and you can get through it.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
you can totally get through the holidays and New Year's Eve too. I get it. I know that it can be sad when you're for the first couple years of being sober and going out to New Year's Eve parties. Like it can be sad. So spare yourself. Maybe try different traditions that don't.
Okay,
involve
so I'd be
partying.
remiss. Obviously, she has some lovely artwork on her body. So
yeah, you got
I'm
some
just
great
gonna go. I'm gonna go
tattoos,
left
yeah.
field here. Okay, show me the if you can, obviously. Show me or tell me about the tattoo that you drunkenly got and regret, because there's got to be one, right? Or did you get all the?
I was hungover through a lot of them. And no, I would say all of them are good. None of them give me like weird feelings, I
Okay.
would say.
Right.
That's my most recent one. And
I like that.
Oh, wow.
Is that a what is that, a raven?
it's a crow. I love
Crow.
crows, birds
Okay.
in general. But the reason I got this and why it's so special is because it's covering a scar that goes from here down to there.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
it's this long.
Right.
And it was and that happened in a blackout. So
Sure. Did
even
you have
looking-
to did that one have to get stitched up? I mean,
it should have,
Yeah.
very much so, but I
Gotcha.
didn't.
You put it in you put it in a bank of snow
Well,
and it
that's
was
the
okay.
thing with the self-harm and self-mutilation and drinking or doing drugs. Well, when you should be going to the hospital to get stitches, you're not in that frame of mind. So
Totally.
that's
Exactly.
a beautiful. That's a badge of courage and success that you wear on your arm. That's a beautiful tattoo, and you would never know it's covering something up, but you do.
Exactly.
You know
It's
that
perfect
it's
cover up.
Yeah.
And now
yeah.
everybody that watches this does.
Well, I mean, but again, that's
Whatever.
Yeah, right.
She doesn't care.
Exactly.
She's an open book.
she's all good,
Again,
right.
she's
Yeah.
turning it into into a success story and something
Right.
beautiful. Which,
Yeah.
Which I mean, you should be proud. I'm proud of you, Kelly. I mean, I'm beyond proud of you. I mean, well, Leanne, I have my brother back, and I haven't had him in a long time.
Yeah.
I thought I had him, and then I really didn't. But he was just good at what he did.
Good
which
at
is the
hiding. We were
drinking.
we were
Yeah,
talking about
yeah.
that, how good I was at hiding and
Yeah.
how not so good I was at hiding.
Yeah, then towards the
There
end,
was a
not so
little-
much.
yeah.
But it makes a big difference. I mean, for being the loved one of somebody who's now sober. Oh my gosh, I can't wait
I mean,
for this,
yeah,
this
I mean,
Christmas
obviously,
season.
since you've got sober, like one of the 50 things has got to be family, and obviously,
Yeah.
you got you got married to the guy that was encouraging you, and then I'm
Yeah.
sure your family just overall, your relationships have just exponentially gotten better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like you get respect back from people where you sort of lost a little bit. It's amazing feeling. And I can only imagine what it would feel like as like you, Kathy, or like a family member seeing the bad and seeing the person grow into like a sober, productive happy person again, it must be amazing to witness.
It's literally with my mom and my dad and my stepmom, and with my husband, and now with Kelly's wife Waverly, who's just an incredible lady.
Love you, babe.
Yeah, get that plug
get
in
that
there.
in there.
We all, the first thing any of us talk about, even if we call for another reason, is just to talk about how we got Kelly back. It's
you did the little Hercules.
yeah. Well, I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that, because I'd forgotten what it was like to really have my brother, and now to have him back, it means everything.
Oh,
It means
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Hmm.
okay. Well, let's group hug.
Yeah. Virtual hug.
Right on. Well, hey, what are we doing on time? We're about at the
Yep,
hour. Should
yep.
I? Let me
We
go.
could go 3 hours with her.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, totally.
I appreciate your preparedness and
Yeah,
actually
thank you
having
so much.
your game tight, if you will. But I just want to go ahead and mention. Obviously, I want to mention our sponsor, which is Summer Sky.
Yep.
Our sponsor, Summer Sky. Which I don't know. Can you pop that address up there? They're good people out there in Stephenville, Texas. And that's actually where I got sober.
And Matt Nolan.
Yeah, and
who's
Nolan
usually in
and
this
the
seat.
and the professor,
Yes.
as well. And then I just wanted to let you know about a couple of guests we have coming up. Actually, we have at the beginning of the year we have Dr. Robert Hernandez, which we will be talking about fun stuff like Suboxone. Yes. Well, I don't know what that
What-
is.
what is
Well,
that?
it's
Speak of it.
Suboxone is actually a like a narcotic that they take to get people off of opiates and
Okay.
heroin and all that fun stuff.
And that's a huge
and
epidemic
yeah,
out there,
and
yeah.
that's going to be interesting. And then we also have Rick Wells from Summer Sky, and he's
Oh.
actually Dr. Rick Wells, because
Love
he has
it.
his PhD in fitness. So we're going to talk about activities and
Awesome.
how fitness can affect your sobriety as well.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, so sobercity.ca is the website, and then Addicted to Happy on YouTube.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anybody you want to say hi to besides your Mr. Richardson?
Oh, good. Oh, a shout out to Untoxicated Queers, which is a new group here in Halifax,
Okay.
which is around sobriety, recovery, addiction support for people in the LGBTQ plus community, and they are fantastic. But that is it.
Cool. All right. Well,
Thank you,
yeah,
Leanne.
definitely want to thank you for coming out.
Congratulations on
for
all-
coming out. Hey,
Yeah.
thanks for coming down here.
Thanks for coming on down
yeah,
to
but
Texas.
one of these days when the vid's gone, we will actually, hopefully, I'll be playing somewhere up in the Northeast, and we can say hi.
That'd be awesome. Thanks
Yeah.
so much for having me on, you guys.
Well, yeah, appreciate
Congratulations
it.
on all your success.
And that
Wow.
is
Thank you.
Leanne Richardson, sobercity.ca. And I guess with that, Kathy, I thank you for standing in for the professor
Thank
today.
you for having me in.
Yeah, and also want to thank JP, Kathy, and the crew for being gracious network producers of our show. 'Cause
Proud to have y'all on.
Well, we are proud to be on and proud to be a part of the network. And remember, like I always say, there is no magic pill for sobriety. How do you finish it? Because
because
does
if
she have
there
it up? Do you
was-
have it up? Hold on, I
Well,
want to
she's
make sure
putting it up.
she's Chambrielle. There you
Kelly
go.
and Nolan's tagline.
Yeah, there is no magic pill for sobriety. If there was, we would all take too many. Thanks a lot, guys.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We'll see you soon.
Thanks a lot, Leanne.
Thank you.
Yeah.